On March 4th in Las Vegas, the top drivers in the game are going all in to win the Pennzoil 400 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race presented by Jiffy Lube, where the checkered flag is the ultimate jackpot. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics to get complete protection for top engine performance.
We are getting closer and closer to Super Bowl 52 here in Minneapolis, and the game will be played out at U.S. Bank Stadium, but the game today is here at the Hard Rock Cafe inside the Mall of America as we are ready to roll on a Thursday morning where I guess the locals would call it brisk. Welcome into Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Glad you're here with us, Trey Wingo, Mike Golic. We believe your son will be here eventually.
We do believe. I actually saw him through the window run in here. He could have made it to the beginning of the show. I saw him veer off, and I said, where is he going?
Donut?
Yeah. He's finishing chewing a donut right now as he runs up on stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, there he is, Mike Golic Jr. now here with us.
He did. I saw him veer off.
You taught him well.
Donut.
You taught him well.
I'll have you know it's a cinnamon roll.
Oh, I'm very proud of you, son. Very, very proud of you.
By the way, your time was much better than yesterday.
Yeah, much better.
1 minute and 9 seconds.
Late, that's it.
That's improvement. I can't set the bar too high now.
By the way, it's not that he just shows up late. He's doing his own show, first and last, a couple floors up here, and then has to run down, and he's a former offensive lineman, and O-lineman and running don't mix.
Well, again, if he had to move around someone to get the cinnamon roll, that could happen.
That's true.
But if we're talking extended exertion of speed, no.
Okay,
that's not really
we just go through. We don't go around.
I like it.
I
like it.
We have a lot to talk about both on the field, in the sport.
I hope so. The show's 4 hours.
I know. We better think of something to say. And off as well, as we all did some fun stuff here last night. But the first thing we have to get out of the way, Mike, I know you remember this. You remember this incredible discussion about cold weather, which, again, we're in Connecticut, so it is cold, certainly. And along those lines, when it's 10 degrees and then the wind chill says it's 0, who at this set right now doesn't believe in wind chill and says it's just a state of mind?
Yeah, Trey Wingo's Twitter bio says wind chill truther inside it.
Seriously,
that is
dude?
True.
I hope you've changed your mind about the whole wind chill thing, okay?
Well, we left the hotel and got in the car. And I'm like, well, it's brisk this morning.
Yeah.
And then we got out of the car to walk into the mall, and right before we walked into the mall, a wind gust came up, and I swear to God, it froze my eyes shut.
It did. And Trey's line was, I believe in wind chill now.
I'm beginning to think this actually might be a thing.
Forget wind chill. That was wind punch this morning. I walked inside and my eye was watering. I was like, who hit me? Did you see him?
It was. It's a little chilly, but that's okay.
Let's just say it got a little colder than it was yesterday.
Yeah, just a bit. But you know what? You just find fun things to do like we did yesterday, and we have obviously a great game to talk about. So
we got a lot to get to. And by the way, give it up for hot water and indoor heating.
Yeah,
right? That's really
a
good thing.
And beer.
Those are two. And beer. Beer.
That's true.
Oh, I think I have to wait for it. No,
it's already 5.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Oh, wait, it's 5 o'clock right now.
Yes.
So we could do that. So that would be great. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And again, Golic and Wingo on the road, presented by Progressive here at the Hard Rock Cafe in the Mall of America. So, we are embracing, what's the phrase? The bold North? Isn't that what it is? Isn't that what they're calling this now? Brave the North?
Brave the North?
Isn't that the thing we're...
The bold North.
I had it right the first time. What's the matter with you?
What are you looking at me for? I'm not from the bold North.
I bailed on that so quickly I knew I couldn't be right. But I was. So we're sort of embracing, what happens when you go up here. So you guys went out and had a real outdoor Minnesota adventure yesterday.
Yeah, we did. We went out ice fishing on Prior Lake. And me and Mike and Katie Nolan, who you're doing the live Twitter show with every day. And it was all of our – now, Mike and I fish a lot.
Right.
Katie, I don't think, has ever fished.
It looked like it.
But none of us had ever done ice fishing.
Right.
And thanks to the guys at clamoutdoors.com, you can catch them. They were the ones that took care of it. They were fantastic, by the way. But it was great because we went and it was like one of those – it wasn't an actual ice house. It was kind of
it was just a pop-up tent.
Yeah. But it worked incredibly well. And we each had our own hole that we went in. First, we got to drill them, which you almost fell in.
All right, listen, you have way overblown this.
What are you talking about?
Lose my balance for a second and then show you how to do it the right way so you can stand up there and feel good about yourself.
I stood back and learned. The auger that obviously going down, and once it goes all the way through, there's that momentum going forward. and Mike went down and almost fell in the hole if he wasn't 300 pounds. And so I saw that and learned, so I did it very gently. And then Katie wanted to do it, and they looked over at us. They said, should we tell her? And we're like, no. And she, of course, went down kind of as well. She may have fallen through the hole, though.
Yeah, she's about the only one of us that was going to be able to fit.
But it was fantastic. We had a line in the water. We had a beer in our hand, and you caught the most by far. I caught a few, but then Katie, who never fished before, of course, lands, about a 2.5, 3 pound white bass, I think it was. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Even the guys from Climb Outdoors were like, oh, my God. Well, they couldn't believe what she was pulling up.
They couldn't believe what she had pulled up, and we notched a first the other day. You remember that.
Right.
So we're sitting there, and we're 1, 2, 3, which probably a little closer than most normally are, but we're trying to film this. We're trying to make it fun. And so all of a sudden I reel in my 13th or 14th fish.
Whatever.
I started losing count.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I've got the fish up here and I'm getting ready to take it off the line. And thankfully I was kind of basking in the glow of my own greatness because all of a sudden it just drops back to the ground. And I thought, oh, man, we got a fighter on our hands.
Right.
Like, he really wants back in that ice hole. And Katie, meanwhile, is reeling in a monster. We think she has really got something. And all of a sudden, the fish is jumping closer back towards the hole. Finally realized someone spots it. We both hooked the same fish.
Both the lures were in that one fish had both lures in his mouth.
Trying to tear him limb from limb. So she was pulling him back to the depths. And they said, and everyone who worked, all the guys from Clam Outdoors, said they had never seen two people hook the same fish and pull it up through like that. So we notched the first while we were here.
We did. Notched the first. She got the lunker of the group. We had a ball. It was a lot of fun. And as we said, it was chilly out, but you embrace it, man. You go do it, and there's a ton of ice houses out there. Everybody's snowmobiling. It was great outdoor fun. So it was a ball.
How thick was the ice?
2.5 feet, they said.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah. Listen, there were pickup trucks on there.
I was going to say, it looks like they're building condos on the ice.
They said an 18-wheeler could be on the lake. And because, like I said, they have an area to snowmobile. They have an ice rink. I think it's mandated.
Heavy construction.
I think it's
cement mixing.
It's mandated if you live here that you have an ice rink on your property. Yeah. I think that's how it rolls.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun. So many thanks.
So you had fun. Now, would you do it today when the temperature drops precipitously?
As long as I'm in an ice house or something like, because it was definitely very comfortable inside that. So I would definitely do it again.
All right. Well,
your fun wasn't the outdoor fun.
I partake in the outdoor fun, but we had some other stuff we had to do. We were actually here in the Mall of America, which, by the way, I learned is not a mall yesterday. It's a destination. That's what they kept telling me. Don't call it a mall. We're a destination.
Reading the pamphlets again, huh?
Well, Sarah from the Mall of America PR was very
adamant about that.
Forthright.
There you go.
I think was the word I would use to make sure that we understood that this was not just a mall; it's a destination. So Teddy Bruschi and I sort of explored all the things you can do here at the mall, and one of the things we did, we rode the roller coaster out there, and we tried to do it as a sort of a symbol of what an NFL season would be. Because, you start, everybody thinks it's going to go like this, and then week one, a lot of people crash and burn.
Really a symbol of life as well?
That's also true.
Okay.
In fact, it was such a symbol of life that we had to do it 2 times in a row, and Teddy almost didn't make it.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, wow.
We got through the first one, they're like, hey, that was good, but just to make sure we have enough, can you do it again? And Teddy's face was like,
yeah, didn't want to do it again.
He had, in fact, he put it up on Instagram and the picture, and I said, puke or no puke? Find out today on NFL Live.
Oh, man. Nice.
So, Teddy, we did that twice, and then we did the zip line, which was kind of cool. Now, we had both zip line before, but never in a mall, which was kind of cool. I'd never seen that happen.
And you still didn't zip line in a mall. You zip lined in a destination.
Because he could work here, ladies and gentlemen. Sarah would be so proud of you because that's what you just said. So we also did that. There's also people that are actually ziplining outdoors.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure that was pretty good yesterday.
Today will be interesting.
I mean, when we woke up, it was actually -1.
Yeah, it was.
And that wind chill thing, which I'm now embracing.
Yes, you are.
When you're going over a river.
Yeah.
And it's -1, and you're trucking what, like 25, 30 miles an hour?
You're creating your own wind chill.
I think you're pretty much frozen by the time you get to the other side, and that you have to take they have a steam bath waiting for you to de-thaw you so you can go back the other way.
Right, that's what you fall into.
Yeah, so we'll have that today on NFL Live, 1:30 Eastern, 12:30 Destination Mall of America time. So check that out. But it was fun. So, I mean, it's one of the great things about coming to a Super Bowl city is you want to do the things that people do.
Absolutely right.
Someone else told me that the mall is actually open almost 24/7. Just so people can mall walk here.
Oh, to walk. I did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This destination.
I was going to say
this destination.
I was going to say because
myself.
the Shake Shack in the mall is definitely not open 24 hours.
Mike does his show and he just stares at it the entire time.
I hear all about how Kirk Cousins was the everyman at Shake Shack the other day. I'm trying to be there. Just happens to be at 3:00 in the morning, and I'm the bad guy now. They don't want my money. So.
Cruel and unusual punishment, right?
Yeah.
Hurts.
They're sort of
I
taunting
hate to say Cousins has a lot more money than you.
Yeah, a little bit.
With the contract he's about to sign, he won't be buying Shake Shack food. He'll be buying Shake Shacks.
Yeah, that's exactly
He'll be buying
right.
several of them. It'll
true.
be Kirk's Shake Shack when it's all said and done. By the way, there was a great story that happened yesterday on Radio Row. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But evenally we should probably talk sports.
Let's do a little bit
Let's do
of
that, and let's start with Off the Top.
Yeah.
All right, we start off the top in the NBA. I think if you don't score at least 50 points in a game these days in the NBA, you're kind of a loser. C.J. McCollum scored a franchise record 28 points in the first en route to a 50-point game in the Trailblazers win over the Bulls. But the best part, he didn't even play the fourth quarter.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's not the amount of points you score now. It's like 50's a breeze for anybody. It's like, when do you finish it? It's just like triple-doubles now. Oh, I had a triple-double. Yeah, but did you have it in the first half?
Yeah.
You know, are you cool that way? So, yeah, C.J. McCollum, 50 points. Didn't play in the fourth quarter. 28 points in the first quarter. It's a franchise record. It was a 10th 50-point game in Trailblazer history. C.J. McCollum's 25 shots were the fewest in any of them. I mean, you want to talk about a sport where you get in the zone and you can just be money all night.
Buckets.
And in under 30 minutes, so the efficiency, this was happening with James Harden and his 60-point triple-double the other night, the first in NBA history, coming on only 30 shots. We're seeing these guys able to operate in a way that's not the old Kobe Bryant model for getting 81, where you feel like it's almost force-feeding in a way that may be counterproductive if he wasn't scoring 81.
Sam's Club volume shooting.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me the bulk.
Give me the big bulk shooter.
Yeah.
Well, it is funny, though, but, I'm sure that C.J. McCollum, it's great. His thing is, hey, I had 50 in less than 30. And James Harden's like, Coleman, you have a 60-point triple-double.
Yeah. And, oh, by the way, I just shot 11 assists. But C.J. McCollum, an excellent night for him.
The Blazers didn't even need C.J. McCollum in the fourth quarter to protect that lead. And protecting the lead is brought to you by ADT.
Oh, well done.
Considering home security? ? Consider this. For over 150 years, ADT has helped stop more crime than any other home security company. Visit ADT.com to learn more. And again, second player ever to score 50 while playing less than 30 minutes, Klay Thompson in December of 2016, but he had 60. So again, it's like, oh, really? That's great for you. Yeah. This is what I had. It's a continual game of one-upsmanship right now in the NBA. We continue with, and the Cavs. The Cavs won a game.
How about it?
They've won 3 of their last 4. It's crazy. They beat the Heat 91-89 in their first game without Kevin Love. It is all Kevin Love's fault, apparently.
It is.
It is all Kevin Love's fault.
We're finding out so many things about Kevin Love. It's amazing, but the Cavs allowed only 89 points, the second fewest they've allowed in a game this season. Now, Miami was missing some possible winning shots here. And to give, I guess, at this point, you're looking for any positive for Cleveland. It wasn't one of the low-ranking teams in the East. It's the team that's just right behind them, sitting in the 4 slot with the Cavs in the 3 slot, but we'll see. I mean, it's the first game after, everybody's going, oh no, woe is us. What's going to happen with Kevin Love out? As I said, it's going to give the other guys a chance to get more minutes, get that rotation going down a little bit, even though Love will jump back into it, which I'm not all that worried about. But, good start to the Kevin Loveless Cavaliers at this point.
Well, and a merciful end to what it felt like an eternity in the month of January. So they finished 6-8 in month of January. That's traditionally been a thorn in the side of LeBron James-led teams.
Right.
Hoping for greener pastures in February, kick-started by this, is right. They're still going to have to answer a lot of questions about this team going forward.
What does Kevin Love have to do to get people to love him?
Man, I don't know. He's got the perfect name, but right? I don't know.
I mean, it's like, we made, after the meeting where we questioned you, Kevin, and then we made sure, it's not Kevin. And then he breaks his hand the first game they go out, and he's like, guys, can't you just lose one for me?
Yeah.
Not win one for me?
Yeah,
Can you lose one for me so it's not all about me?
Make me look a little better?
Man,
yeah, not so much.
Unbelievable. Again, the month could not end fast enough for the Cavs, as you said, and LeBron James. It has been woeful in January. We continue with Blake Griffin, expected to make his Pistons debut tonight at 7 Eastern as Detroit hosts the Grizzlies. Memphis might not be the opponent, though, Griffin wants to see.
Yeah. He hasn't done as well against them. 18 career points a game. 46 field goal percent shooting against Memphis, both the second lowest against any opponent. Now, what he'll look to do, the players that made their debut, the highest, Jerry Stackhouse, Adrian Dantley, each had 33, so we'll see what he can do tonight. He's the second 5-time All-Star the Pistons have ever acquired. And the other was Bob McAdoo back in 1979. So, listen, he's talented. He said we got a more story about him and how he found out he got to Detroit, which again in this day and age I guess shouldn't surprise us.
No.
But the Blake Griffin era starts in Detroit tonight,
and it begins that debate anew about how personal and how cold and calculated should these departures be when it comes to transactional decisions about a team. But also a guy that was one of your homegrown stars in Los Angeles, a guy that you took with that top overall pick that you had watched grow through 7-8 years now of his career before you sent him off. Is there any sort of professional courtesy that you owe him in that moment in time?
Professional courtesy. That's an interesting choice of words because, Mike Sr., to what you alluded to, Blake had his introductory press conference yesterday, and this is what he said when they asked him, or he was just being very forthcoming, about how he found out, wait, I'm not a Clipper anymore?
I just wish I had known or had the opportunity to talk to somebody beforehand. Finding out through Twitter or through other people is a tough way to find out when you've been with a franchise for so long. But at the end of the day, basketball is a business, and I want to play where a team wants me, and that's why I'm excited about being here.
He found out on Twitter he was traded.
I mean, should we be shocked?
No. Well, Kendall Fuller, the cornerback now for Kansas City, was tweeting about the trade and the sign of Alex Smith. He goes, man, unbelievable, blah, blah, blah. I'm not the one being traded. And then he found out he was the one being traded.
I mean, I don't even know how that's – even in this day and age where everything gets out, we have so many great information people and stuff get out, that the principal people involved aren't told. I don't understand that one bit, yet it happens time and time again.
Well, and it's just changing mediums now because you heard stories before where guys would find out on the elliptical watching the bottom line on ESPN and all of a sudden seeing their name flash. So
stupid ESPN.
It's an even more immediate version of what they've got there. We're just really ruining everything.
I think the biggest question of all, and this seems to be the big thing in the NBA, when Blake Griffin finally has his first game back,
tribute video.
Does he get a tribute video?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you get a tribute video. It doesn't matter how long. Now, Blake has been there a long time.
Well, I hope the Clippers don't decide to retire Paul Pierce's jersey there because then we could really run into some trouble.
Yeah, it would.
Well, there's some disrespect going there, and obviously Paul and people are trying to work that out still. But it seems like this is the trend now in the NBA because remember when Jason Kidd was fired? He found out because Giannis Antetokounmpo called him and said, hey, man, you're getting fired.
Yeah.
So what would be worse? We should put that up on the Twitter poll. What would be worse, finding out that you're being traded or fired via Twitter, or having one of your players say, hey, guess what, I know you're fired, and telling you before management says, hey, by the way, we're going to fire you? I mean, either one sounds kind of crappy.
Yeah, neither one is good. You got a different option for me?
Yes, a sealed envelope from a registered mail that you open up and says,
you're
hey,
fired.
you're fired.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, what would be worse? Literally, what would be worse? Finding out on Twitter, wait, what?
Yeah.
Or someone calling you and said, hey, your bosses are going to fire you, but they wanted to tell me first.
Yeah, they told me, and you need me to help you out at all?
Yes. Can I throw you a bone?
Yeah. Do you need any bus money?
Yeah.
You want me to call you a cab? How does this work?
It's a tough call.
I'll give you my cell number.
But, again, we shouldn't be shocked in this day and age.
And again, the funny thing is we're asking about what would be worse, one of these things on Twitter, by asking them people to talk about it on
Twitter.
Yeah. So it comes full circle. So we'll see what happens with Blake Griffin tonight. And again, like he said, I wish I'd found out another way. Meanwhile, in women's hoops, number 1 Connecticut faces number 7 South Carolina this evening at 7 Eastern on ESPN. For the Gamecocks to deal the Huskies their first loss, they'll have to do something, Mike, they have never, ever, ever, ever done.
South Carolina 0-14 against AP number 1 teams, 0-5 all time against Connecticut, including 0-4 under Dawn Staley here. So no shocker, Connecticut is 20-0. South Carolina is sitting there at 18-3, but we do know one person we will hear from today touting his team to beat the number 1 UConn, and that's going to be Darius Rucker. He's obviously the monster South Carolina fan, which is a cool thing, but boy, oh boy, the task of beating this UConn team. Anytime we talk about great coaches or great teams, they get left out too quickly at times for what they have done and he has done over the years.
Yeah, anytime I see this matchup come up for Darius, I just start singing Let Her Cry and maybe rip off a voicemail and send it his way. He's going to need it.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know and I don't care would also work one of those lines. Yeah. So again, we'll see what happens tonight. That game is on 7 Eastern. As we continue here from the Hard Rock Cafe in the Mall of America, Golick and Wingo, presented by 1-800-Flowers.com. Get your Valentine needs knocked out today.
Yes.
With up to 60% off best-selling bouquets, arrangements, and gifts. From 1-800-Flowers.com to score up to 60% off, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. We have got a great lineup of guests.
Yes,
for you
we
today.
do.
I'm going to translate these things here because they always do this in Eastern Time no matter what time zone we are in.
Here's the thing. Just say Eastern Time, and the people here are smart enough to figure out what time that really means.
Yeah.
Okay?
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
I don't know.
I'm positive they know this.
Let's take a test, okay? 7:30 Eastern, which would be... Hey,
see that? That's a smart crew.
Hall of Fame lineman Anthony Munoz will be here. By the way, maybe one of the best to ever do it, and you're going to see his pinky, which is
it's always fun to see.
It's a right angle.
Yeah.
At 8 o'clock Eastern, we went to Jared.
Yes,
Jared Allen will be here.
Yeah.
Former Viking, former Chief, former Bear, played in Super Bowl 50 with the Carolina Panthers. 8:30 Eastern, Panthers tight end Greg Olsen will be here on the set.
Up for the Man of the Year award, one of the 3 finalists.
Man of the Year. It's J.J. Watt and Benjamin Watson.
Benjamin Watson, exactly
the Baltimore Ravens. At 9 o'clock Eastern, Hall of Fame running back and the most rushing yards in NFL history, Emmitt Smith, formerly of the Dallas Cowboys, will be here. And then we've got Luke Kuechly at 9:30 Eastern, Panthers linebacker, outstanding young man. I love doing stuff with Luke. He's always great. And I notice a preponderance of Packer jerseys here in Minnesota. I want to make sure I'm getting this right. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers will be here as well. So we have a lot of great guests for you. So stick around. Keep going. We got lots to do. We also have an interesting comments yesterday which seemed to indicate everything someone tried to tell us about a month ago was absolutely true, even though they said at the time it wasn't. We'll get into that in just a minute.
Hey everyone, Mike Golick here. Support for the Golick Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Golick and Wingo with you from the Mall of America, the Hard Rock Cafe. We got tons of people here with us. Good morning. Glad you are with us.
And you know what I just noticed?
Yeah.
For the first time, I've been in it now the second day, I looked up. There's a second floor of people up there. I didn't
see you guys up there. How are you?
Either. It's fantastic up there.
That's on us. Sorry.
That's like the suite up there.
Yeah, I guess, that's really nice. By the way, as we were doing that, if we're having straight talk, as we're going through that sports center, somebody must have walked by with like chocolate chip waffles.
Well, did that smell great?
Did that hit you? It was unbelievable.
Thought the same thing.
I felt like I was a Pavlovian dog.
I thought you were going to do this segment without me because I was going to go find them.
Well, then not only that, somebody went by with the chocolate chip waffles, and then somebody went by with bacon.
Oh my!
And that's how are we supposed to do this show if somebody is walking by?
Cruel and unusual conditions. I tried to tell you that yesterday.
But wait a minute. This is actually serving food. Okay, we can smell it. You're just seeing the words that say Shake Shack. There's a little different.
Trey, I ask you to have a little bit of an imagination. There is food inside the Shake Shack. They don't import it all the day of, so you got to just look beyond the facade.
Is it being prepared? Can you smell it? Can you smell it?
I can. Again, vivid imagination.
Okay,
Trey.
see, so there's a difference.
Theater of the mind.
Theater of the absurd, I think, is more like it.
Taking crazy pills.
Theater of the hungry.
Oh, yeah, and it's only the second day. We got another one of these days to go.
Yes, we do.
All right, so speaking of straight talk, we're here for Super Bowl 52. We're excited about that. The game will be on Sunday. It's a very interesting thing that's sort of being played out this week with the New England Patriots because there was the story on ESPN.com by Seth Wickersham that acknowledged there was some tension this year between the Patriots and specifically Tom Brady, Robert Kraft, and Bill Belichick. And a lot of that centered around the decision at the last moment to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, who a lot of people thought would be I'm sorry, that smell hit me again. I have to regroup.
Oh, my gosh.
I have to regroup.
Boy, you really
wafting.
You really handle distraction well.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Shiny object. Look over here. So there was that story on ESPN.com that there was some tension around Jimmy Garoppolo and the decision to trade him. And so Jonathan Kraft, the son of Robert Kraft, who is, I think, the team president, basically said yesterday that Tom Brady has earned the right to retire whenever he wants. And he is going to be here as long as he wants to be.
Right.
He's earned that right. He can set and choose his own ship and sail it to his own course and navigation, which makes it sound like the guy who's always been in charge of football would be Bill Belichick is no longer in charge of Tom Brady, who plays football, which would seem to go to the tension that we were talking about. And then when someone asked Tom Brady about this, that saying Jonathan Kraft said he can retire whenever he wants, this is Brady's response.
Why does everyone want me to retire so bad? I don't get it. I'm having fun. The team's doing good. You know, I know I'm a little bit older than most of the other guys, but, you know, I'm really enjoying it. I obviously enjoy the experience of playing in this game. This has been, I mean, obviously a dream come true, you know, many times over. And, you know, it takes a lot of hard work to get here. And our team, I think, is, you know, working hard. We had a good practice today. We're going to need a couple more good ones. We're playing against, you know, great football teams. So I'm not thinking about retirement. I'm thinking about the Super Bowl and trying to win the most important game of the year.
By the way, Brady is the king of the incredibly large knit hat.
Yes, he does.
That hat always looks like it should be on Andre the Giant.
It definitely does. And he always has a great way of getting back to the task at hand, the game. I mean, he's such a master of that. Somebody did point out to him that Steve DeBerg was 45 years old and on the roster, I believe, of a playoff team. Didn't play. Right. Wasn't a starter, but was on the roster. And Tom, at least he played it off well, like he didn't know that, and then almost took it like as, oh, really? Like, you know, okay.
You've made him angry.
I'm not only going to be on the roster at 45, I'm going to be the starting quarterback at 45. This is what I'll say about retirement, and I've said this for years. When Jerry Rice leaves the 49ers, and Tim Brown leaves the Raiders, or you see Franco Harris end up on a different team, or Joe Namath, and even more really in this day and age when people are like, man, just retire. And my thought is, why? Why? Just what Tom said there. Why? I don't want to think of Jerry Rice as anything but a 49er. Okay, well, so what? It's Jerry Rice who wants to keep playing, man. If a player, even if their skills have eroded a bit, and you wouldn't be happy about it because he's not on your team anymore, the only place he's been, if they want to put in the work and they want to keep playing and they're getting enjoyment out of it, man, play as long as you want. You know, even if the play isn't as good and you're like, oh, I don't want to remember him this way, I kind of understand all that. But the bottom line, it's a player doing the work. It's a player that wants to keep playing. Play as long as you want to play.
Well, we know that's not exactly the unanimous decision in his household. We've heard from Giselle that she has been lobbying Jay Feely, of all people, to try and see if she could coax him into retirement before that. But
do you really think a kicker was going to ask him to get him to retire? I mean, let's just be – I mean, I get it. They went to Michigan, but I love Jay, but really?
I don't understand why Giselle had to ask anyone other than Giselle to try and convince Tom to retire.
Right.
That's the strongest force in Tom's life.
There you go.
To this point fine with guys going to keep playing. That's why
apparently it isn't. That's why she needed Jay Feely's help.
Apparently, which is terrifying. But listen, looking down this road, that's why I always thought Tom Brady would finish with a different uniform on other than the Patriot uniform, because his desire to play usually superseded what was the normal Patriot protocol, which is get out from under someone who may be on the decline before you have to hit there. What we found out through all of this is that Tom Brady is the exception to the Patriot way.
Well, see, that's the real point, I think, of all of this, is that I'm with you. Tom Brady should play as long as he wants to play, because you know what? Once you stop playing, the checks get smaller. No matter how well you're doing, the checks you're making from playing will always be slightly larger than the checks you're making when you stop playing. But this all goes back to that Seth Wickersham article for me, because then Robert Kraft admitted to there being tensions this year. So to sum up what we have here, we have the article that came out and said there were tensions and there were some disagreements over how this thing went down with the Jimmy Garoppolo trade. Then, of course, they made the statement, we stand united as one. Then they get here, and the Krafts have basically said, the guy that's basically rewritten the record book on what defines being a successful head coach in the NFL, Bill Belichick, who's run all the football operations to a T, by the way. Yeah, this one we're not going to go there. We're going to decide that he can retire Tom Brady whenever he wants. And while on some sense you understand that because of how well Brady has played, suddenly if you're Bill Belichick, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, I'm not running the complete show.
Have I not done a good job for you guys? I mean, it's the 8th time I've been here. It's 17 seasons removed from our first Super Bowl in 2001 to this Super Bowl now in 2018. We are on this historic dynastic run that the NFL has never seen and will likely never see again. And now you're going to tell me that I can't do the things that have made this be a continuing success? I mean, it seems to me like, let's go back to that article. Check, 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 check. Right down the list.
Yeah, it's, and to your point, I know you had said that about thinking Brady would end up in another uniform. I didn't. I thought he would be the exception to that rule there because he's a quarterback and one of the greatest of all time, or the greatest, wherever you want to put him there. But I didn't think it would be magnified in this way of ownership coming out and saying, Tom decides when Tom doesn't want to play anymore. That's a stamp right there. I thought it would be just really through Bill Belichick and, hey, I know he's 40, but, man, he's still playing at MVP level. I'm still going to go with him. So I always thought he would end his career as a New England Patriot. We'll see how that plays out because I do think he can still play a couple of more years. But, boy, getting that stamp by ownership really, really kind of sets that in stone. And to Trey's point, it's got to make Belichick go, okay, that's a little different.
Well, what does it do to the future of this franchise? You're essentially saying that continuity going forward of maybe being able to stabilize with a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo is less important to you than giving a Kobe Bryant-style severance package for years of services rendered that could, like it did with the Lakers, cripple your franchise going forward. Because now, when Tom Brady drops off, who do you have but a coach that feels like he was slighted and may not want to be around for the rebuild that follows because he doesn't have his guy, and you're left high and dry saying, well, we had some good times. Let's hope maybe they pop up again.
That's the thing if you're Bill. He is Lawyer Malloy, Ty Law, Richard Seymour.
Yeah.
He always got rid of a guy, Vince Wilfork, a couple of years ago, who played 2 years with the Texans. He clearly could have played 2 more years, but he didn't want that contract with an aging player that he knew eventually was going to run out. Now, I understand it's Brady, and I understand like if he goes and wins the Super Bowl and he traded him in the offseason or cut him in the offseason, it would be unmitigated hell in the northeast portion of the country. But Bill is always thinking about the long term, the next step. And that, apparently in this situation, according to the Kraft's own words, is not going to be his call anymore.
Yeah.
And Robert Kraft on the NFL Network before the AFC Championship game said there's a lot of strong-minded people, but when you have something good going, everybody's got to get their egos checked and try to hold it together.
Oh, boy.
Again, Seth Wickersham, check, and circle big check.
Yeah.
He nailed it in that article. Rolling on Golic and Wingo, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. But one of the great things about being on the road with all our good friends here at the Hard Rock Cafe in the Mall of America at an event like the Super Bowl is that most of the guests will be joining us in person.
Right, they will.
And we've got a cavalcade of great guests that are coming up a little later on, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But we are here doing our show a little removed from what is called Radio Row, where Junior does your show. How many stations do you think are up there on Radio Row, Mike, doing their shows for the Super Bowl?
Oh, God, you spread it all out there, and it's got to be, near triple digits. There are tables as far as the eye can see, and upstairs really close together this year. In past examples, down in Houston last year, it was a much bigger, almost a warehouse-style setting, so you had a little more room to operate. Here, we're kind of on top of each other over in Radio Row.
So you mentioned Houston, which is an interesting way to sort of get to this topic, because everybody's jammed together. And this was a little video that somebody posted on Twitter yesterday. Somebody was trying to interview Terrell Davis, who we had on the show yesterday. It was nice, and we talked about his Super Bowl when he played with the migraines. But as one station on Radio Row was interviewing Terrell Davis, apparently 2 other radio hosts from Houston were like in each other's faces yelling at each other, well, you can't come at me because my ratings, you never beat me in the ratings, your Twitter beef is the only way you can top me, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, this is why everybody hates people in radio. That thing right there. It was that 1 minute segment.
It was amazing. And the thing about them arguing is the one guy had a headset on and the other guy had like a recorder, and they made sure when they were yelling at one another that the recorder was up. So they
You must listen to me yelling at you.
They were knowingly recording all this. The one dude was live during his segment. The other guy was making sure he was taping it. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, there are kids here, which I'm glad to see, and hopefully you're missing school today and learn more here on Golic and Wingo.
Just not book learning.
Just not. But there are kids here that were more mature than those two guys. I mean, that was just ridiculous yelling about ratings.
Chest to chest, and you can see in the background of the video, so it was right up next to where our tables for the Dan Le Batard show are set up, for Stephen A. Smith's show, and so you can see poor Allison Turner, the guest booker for the Dan Le Batard show, one of their producers.
Who does a great job, by the way.
Is fantastic and is so nice and uncomfortable in most situations and social settings, is sitting in the background cowering while these people are chest to chest shoving each other, just trying to stay out of the way and see if they can get Kenny G back on the line.
I mean, but the whole point of the dialogue was like, don't come at me like this. You've never beaten me once. You can only do this when you show up on Twitter. I'm so much better than you. It was just like, really?
Oh, my gosh. It was like the one guy's yelling about a 1.5, but we're rating, and we're a 1.4, so we're right there. The one thing that was not going to happen, it was not going to get physical. These two guys, you looked at them, you're like, there is no way it will lead to that. They want to make sure they get it on tape, but if it got close to that, they would be looking around saying, okay, who's going to break this thing up so we don't have to actually get physical with one another.
So it's like those pseudo NBA fights, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where the Clippers had their locker room breached
exactly.
by the Rockets.
Yeah, exactly right.
This is a penguin fight, awkwardly chest to chest, knowing that the flippers are never going to touch.
Yeah.
Not once.
That actually might be the best description.
That is really a good one.
It's on Twitter. You can look it up and find it. Just Radio Row fight. It's just
embarrassing.
It's like people like. If you ever wondered why some people don't like local radio, take a look at that video.
And now
for like a minute and a half.
That's going to be everywhere, and those two guys are going to get crushed.
No, they're going to be. They're talking about us. This is amazing.
You know what my job is? So now we're going up. I'm going up. I'm going to be doing some hits in Radio Row later on today. Best believe I'm going to go up there and try and stoke the fire.
Poke the bear.
We got to find the parties involved, and we got to make sure we get round two. Ring the damn bell.
Yeah, walk by the one guy and talk out loud. Do you believe what the one dude said about him?
Man.
Wow, yeah.
Do it this way. You're never going to have his ratings.
Yeah.
Just say that.
Everyone's talking about it.
Everyone's saying that he's saying you're never going to beat him, and that would
unreal.
Be it.
Wow.
So anyway, we got that, which is fun and a distraction. Shiny new toy for a few seconds.
Yeah.
All right, we have a cavalcade of guests coming up for you here on Golic and Wingo, littered with Hall of Famers, including Anthony Munoz will be here, Emmitt Smith will be here, Aaron Rodgers will join us in a little bit, Jared Allen will be here. We've got a lot to get to, a cavalcade of guests coming up, and I'm going to do something today that'll make Golic so jealous he won't be able to handle it. That's coming up.